Welcome to the Tokenized Economy. Here is today's explainer on the private key.
All right, so in our last explainer, we touched on this idea that a crypto wallet isn't really a wallet, in the way you'd think of one. It's actually a cryptographic key pair. Today, we're going to zero in on one half of that pair, the super secret, incredibly powerful private key.
So what exactly is a private key? Well, think of it as the master key to your digital vault. It's the bedrock, the absolute foundation of how you control anything on a blockchain. Let's really dig into what it is and how it all works.
At its very core, a private key is just a number. But oh man, it's not just any number. It's a 256-bit number that's generated completely at random. This isn't your average password. This is the one thing that grants you, and only you, complete access and control over your digital assets.
Now, a raw 256-bit number is, well, it's a mess for us humans to deal with. So to make it usable, it gets converted into a 64-character string of letters and numbers. What you're seeing here, that's what it actually looks like. That string is your key to the kingdom.
So, you might be asking, why does it have to be so long and complicated? The answer is security. The number of possible private keys is just astronomical. We're talking about 10 to the power of 77. To give you some perspective, that number is bigger than the estimated number of atoms in the entire known universe. Yeah, so trying to guess one, it's literally impossible with today's technology.
Okay, but the private key doesn't just work on its own. It has a partner, the public key. And the relationship between these two is an absolute cornerstone of how all of this cryptography works so well.
This relationship is both simple and genius. Using some pretty clever one-way math, you can generate a public key directly from your private key. But, and this is the most important part, it is a one-way street. You absolutely cannot go backward. It's computationally impossible to take a public key and figure out the private key. And that's the magic that lets you share your public address with anyone, anywhere, without ever putting your funds at risk.
So we get what a private key is, and we know it's linked to a public key. But how do you actually use it? How does it let you move your assets around? Well, that brings us to the process of authorizing a transaction.
So here's how that dance works. First, you decide you want to send something, so you start a transaction. Then your wallet uses your private key to sign that transaction. And what's crucial is that key never, ever leaves your device. This signing process creates a unique digital signature. Finally, that signature gets broadcast to the network. And here's the cool part. Anyone with your public key can look at that signature and verify that, yep, it definitely came from you. If it all checks out, the transaction gets the green light.
When you boil it all down, all this math, all these steps, all this tech, it really comes down to one simple, incredibly powerful idea.
And this is the real takeaway here. In this digital world, it's not about your name or your ID. It's about the key. True ownership, true control, it all comes down to one single fact. Who holds the private key? If you have the key, you control the assets. If you lose that key, you lose the assets. It's that simple and it's that absolute.
So given how unbelievably critical these keys are, it's probably no surprise that securing them is a huge deal, especially for big institutions that are managing enormous amounts of money.
Yeah, these guys aren't just writing their keys down on a piece of paper. They use some seriously sophisticated methods. Things like hardware security modules, or HSMs. You can think of them as digital fortresses, physically built for one purpose only, to protect keys. They also use really clever systems like multi-party computation, or MPC. This allows them to split a key into multiple pieces, so that no single person ever has full control. You need multiple people to come together to approve anything, and it's all wrapped in layers of strict rules and governance.
And all this leads us to a really fascinating question, right? We've established that the private key authorizes everything, but you can safely share its partner, the public key, with the world. So how on earth does that work? How can public keys let the network verify it's you and let people send you assets without revealing any of your secret information? That's the puzzle we're going to solve in our next explainer.
So that's the private key, the real heart of control and self-custody in the digital world. I hope this explainer helped clear things up. Make sure you subscribe for more quick explainers on blockchain, tokenization, and the financial markets. And hey, if you've got questions or a topic you want us to cover, drop it in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.